is central zone. Then we also have what we call the peripheral nervous coordination. Most times when you hear the word peripheral, because they can ask you questions in that, especially when you are solving questions on plants anatomy, they like the word peripheral. Especially when they label anything and they say peripheral. Peripheral means outside, close to outside. That's peripheral. Central means close to center. So the activities of your body is controlled by two things. One, the central system. And those central systems, there are two of them. The brain and the spinal cord. Those are the two central systems that control your body. Your brain is the main system that controls every activities of your life. So, you don't fall in love with your heart. You fall in love with your brain. For your heart will be broken. So, the brain and the spinal cord. When you need a rapid response that we call a reflex action, then your spinal cord will come into play. The spinal cord, we are still going to draw it. So we're still going to say a lot about the spinal cord. Now, your brain is the central part of your body and it controls a lot of activities. Now your brain is also divided into three main parts. The one that determines your level of intelligence, your ability to think, and all the things you do yourself. They are majorly under the control of the frontal part of the brain, and that is called the forebrain. And the forebrain, you have the cerebrum, you have the thalamus, you have the hypothalamus, and you have the olfactory lobe. So your forebrain, you have the cerebrum, the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and the olfactory lobe. Then, in between, you have what you call the midbrain. Midbrain is a connection between the forebrain and the hindbrain. So the last one is called the hind or hindbrain, depending on your phonetic level. So the hindbrain is made up of your cerebellum, you have the pulvaruli, and you have the medulla oblongata. You do not think with your medulla oblongata, but you think with your cerebrum. The lots are not concerned about. There are lots in the midbrain, but for you are not really concerned about. Just know that it's a connection between the small. We have to be here. Now, In any case, every information is processed by your brain. Some information, this guy, let me just draw a raw sketch of Andre's brain. So the bigger portion of the brain is called the cerebellum. There's a part of the brain called the thalamus. What's up? It was not. Then below the thalamus you have the hypothalamus. Then hypothalamus control what we call the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. The pituitary gland are of two types. We have the anterior pituitary gland and we have the posterior pituitary gland. So we'll still come back to that. You have the frontal, occipital, parietal, and so on. But for now, I'm not going deeper into all of those. The most important thing is that what does your cerebrum do? Your cerebrum is your seat of intelligence. Are you writing? So your seat of intelligence, it is most of the actions you take with this, they are voluntary. You might decide to act dumb and you might decide to act wise. So your cognitive cerebrum. So your cognitive behavior, your ability to think, ability to reason, ability to do a lot of things is under the control of your cerebrum. So the way you are writing, your level of intelligence, everything is under your cerebrum. Is that taken? What's the function of thalamus? Your hypothalamus controls body temperature. You can help me check thalamus. It's for something. It does not really do much. The thermos does not do much, but temperature coordination, temperature, how you think, where you fall in love, emotions. Hey. So for thalamus, It helps you to regulate. So hypothalamus regulates your body temperature, your emotions. So those of you that love to cry, your hypothalamus is in control. But if you do not want to cry again, come to me. I'm a neurosurgeon. I will help you to remove the hypothalamus. Gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ ló gba gbogbo ẹnu ẹ nílá yẹn. If you feel pain, it is under the control of hypothalamus. Anger, everything torturing your life is under hypothalamus. So when you fall in love, that is also torturing your life, is under hypothalamus. So I love you with every stem of my hypothalamus. The thalamus is just a link. They don't usually ask, there's no function that is set in particular for your level. So, olfactory lobe. If you have a good olfactory lobe, you should be able to relate it to the hypothalamus. That is the one that controls your organs of smell. So if you want your hypothalamus to function very well, your olfactory lobe should function very well. If anger is coming, you should smell it. If heartbreak is coming, you should smell it. But don't smell it. So are you there? So next, this part of the brain, hello, this is called cerebellum. I think it's double B or thereabout. Then you have the pineal gland. You have the medulla oblongata. So medulla oblongata is an extension of your brain. So we call this part the brain stem. Pons varolai. What did he say about pons varolai? One of them produces melatonin, but I think that's pineal gland. It's not doing anything. Pineal is not there. I'll give you that one. So the pineal gland secretes what we call melatonin. So the pineal gland gives what we call melatonin. Melatonin is your sleep-wake hormone. So it controls your wake and sleep cycle. The moment it's getting dark, you start releasing melatonin and you start feeling sleepy. But there's a way your phone is designed, the Blu-ray of your phone. So when you are looking at it, it inhibits your sleep cycle. And that's why you can play with your phone from night to the next morning. And you will not know that the dawn is getting done on you. So let's look at the function of cerebellum. Cerebellum controls your voluntary actions. Your voluntary actions. Cerebellum controls your movements, muscular movements, everything that has to do with your movements. It's under the influence of cerebellum. So the action is voluntary for cerebellum. Movements, skeletal movements. So that is under cerebellum. Now, medulla oblongata, everything that has to do with your inside, what is going on in your inside, how your heart is pumping, cardiac movements. So the pumping of blood, your breathing, the rate at which you breathe is under the control of medulla oblongata. So your breathing rates, a joint body. That's your heart rates, your digestion rates. Your digestion rates, the rates of respiration. All of these are controlled by, yes, your heart beats. They are controlled by medulla oblongata. Now, is this going to be voluntary or involuntary? So it is involuntary. Are you there? So those are the things you need to know if they want to ask you a question. So they can ask you that which of the following is a part of the hindbrain? Just know it. Which of the following is a part of forebrain? Know it. What are the functions of each part? And they can draw and ask you to label. Is that taken? Can we move on now? Oh. Voluntary. Yes, the way you talk now. If you don't want to talk, you can keep quiet. But if you are moving, it is no longer cerebellum that is controlling your movement. I mean cerebrum. You can decide to move. So if you decide to move from that place to, that is cerebellum. So it is, that's what we mean by voluntary and involuntary. What you do willingly without compulsion. So where's that duster? I gave it to you. Can I rub the brain now? Can I rub your brain? I just know some of you cannot make heaven. But fine, it's biology class. Sir, does cerebellum also control the erection of the manhood? Now, that should be under medulla oblongata. You can't decide to just control it, except your heart rate and it's stimulated. So it's not your muscular. Let's go on. That's biology. Can we move on? Please reduce your. All of you have eaten, Abi. You are talking too much. We don't have much time, and you are talking too much. Please. The fact that I'm still joking with some of these things does not mean you should start shouting. It's one of the nerves. It's nerves. So, please, let's keep quiet, please. We will be begging you to keep quiet for how many times? And you keep wasting time. This part is not much, but if you keep shouting, you'll be extending our time. And you are the one that will not cover what you need to cover. I want to explain some things. So, yeah, can I rub the rest? So listen. This guy is called central nervous system because it all forms the center of your body. Your brain is at the center. Then the extension of that your brain is what runs through your vertebral column. So it runs through your vertebral column, and that is what we call the spinal cord. So the spinal cord is what runs through your spinal column. Don't say you have break my spinal cord. No, you break backbones, not spinal cord. Is that taken? But your spinal cord runs through the backbones, and most of the nerves that serve your body, they come from the spinal cord. So if you have issue with your spinal cord, you might not be able to walk. You might not be able to do a whole lot of things. If you have issue with probably the right hemisphere of your cerebrum, your left part goes numb. You won't be able to move any part of your left. And if you have issue on your left part, you won't be able to move any part of your right. All these are questions they ask you in JAM. So please keep quiet. So now, if your brain is here and your hand needs to function from the information coming from your brain, then what is the thing? Your brain is connected like wires that run throughout your entire body. So everything that connects your brain to all the parts of your body, then they are under this part. So we call them nerves or neurons. So neurons connect your brain, your spinal cord, to every part of your body. But the center that every part of your body submits to is your brain and the spinal cord. But the brain controls the spinal cord. But there are some information that do not have to get to the brain before spinal cord takes action. And that is one of the organizations of the body. You don't put your hand on fire and you expect that your system should go and tell the brain first. And your cerebrum will not be thinking, should you remove hand or not remove hand? So, by reflex, the spinal cord makes you to remove your hand automatically before your brain will not say, carry ọmọ mi dáadáa, next time, má gbọ́wọ́ síbẹ̀. So, the coordination works all together. And all the nerves that serve the body is what we want to look at. So, we call it peripheral nervous system. So, all the nerves, the peripheral nervous system is now divided into two. Is your body under control voluntarily or involuntarily? Then we have what we call somatic. Please, I will send you out to. At the moment I send you out, you cannot beg me. That's the problem I have. What cost stick? What is this one? There are a lot of things that cause stroke. Blood clots can lead to stroke. Somatic nervous system. We have what we call autonomic nervous system. Now, everything that is in your body that is controlled voluntarily, so all the nerves that control voluntary actions, voluntary movements of the body, then they are under somatic nervous system. Everything that controls involuntary movements, the word autonomic, then they are under autonomic nervous system. But autonomic nervous system is still now divided into two. Autonomic nervous system is divided into parasympathetic. This is the common area they now ask you question again. Parasympathetic and sympathetic. Do not make mistakes here. Para just means exterior, outside. In that case, para does not mean what it seems like in this place. You want to control the activities that is taking place in your body, but you put one under control. The ones that is parasympathetic is the one that will say you should relax. Everything is in control. That's parasympathetic. And from the word para, it looks like you should para, you should actually not relax. That's why students make that mistake. But parasympathetic is one that says you should relax and let your body process what is going on. Why sympathetic? Please, this is where they ask you question. And if you understand this, when you see your options, you will know the right answer. Sympathetic is the one that says fight or flight. This one is not the one that's, and there are a lot of us like this. The moment you see something, you just want to react to it immediately. But some people have that calmness of body and they know what to do. While we were in class this morning, I think we still talked about the nervous system this morning, but just the advanced part. So my lecturer said that that's the HOD of medicine. So he said it that sympathetic is when your body sympathizes with you. And he now said, let's imagine that there's one guy that is very tall in our class. We call him Big 7. He's 7 feet tall. No 6. So the lecturer now said, let's imagine that this is the scenario. I want to use his own scenario. That's why I'm mentioning him. That whenever I'm teaching this normally in biology, there are other scenarios I use. But I want to use what he said this morning. And I cannot steal his idea and come and form Badu for all of you. So he said something. If I was the one, I would say cockroach, because I know that's what some of you are used to. I would say mosquito. But his own, he said, imagine someone comes into the class, our class in the morning, and the person comes up and say, everybody ends up with AK-47. And he said, only the tallest in our class, Big 7, he said he's the only one that will stand up and go and meet the person at the door. I said that, what do you mean all of us raise our hands up? Do you know who you are talking to? Do you know where you are? This is medicine, no history, no philosophy, no arts. Take your gun and leave this door. Prostrate now. Everybody said, okay. Even the guy said, now so kill me. The man said, but for him, he would just say, Lord of Jesus, Lord of Jesus. He said, some of our class, he said, some of you would have wee on your body. He said, so Big 7 is the one under parasympathetic. He's the one that will go and face him. And for me, the general logic I used to say is, Many of you female know how you feel when you see cockroach. So, just cockroach. So now, I will now list some things. Do you know that there are some of you that when you are sleeping or you are sitting down and you see mosquito on your laps and you just look at it and you like, mommy, bóyá àwọn parents ò tiẹ̀ lówó oúnjẹ lè gbà ṣáà máa jẹun lọ́sẹ̀. That's how you look at the mosquito. But some people, they don't even want to look there. Any small thing. So now listen, I will now list them. You will now tell me if it is para or I already told you, para is the one that your body will be calm. You put it under control. But sympathetic is the one that your body will react immediately. So if I ask you, if Jam now asks you that, which of the following is probably, let me just categorize them as para or sympa. If you have an increased heart rate, your heart rate increase, is it going to be para or sympathetic? Sympathetic. You see that if you see it in the exam, you will know. So anyone that will increase your heart rate is the one that's this one. Chege, you know, you are trying to, is it that bedroom by? Now, let me ask you another question. Between para and sympa, listen, no, because there is a mistake in that place too. Which one are you likely to be feeling hungry and the peristalsis movements will go on easily? That your normal, you know, if you are under tension, the peristalsis movement will slow down. I hope you are getting it. That means that if you have, you know, we've talked about peristalsis. If there is slow peristalsis, that means that will be under sympa. But if your peristalsis movement is regular, that means that will be under para. Are you getting my point? Which one will you have? You know the pupil. Pupils, what controls what comes into your eye? The light. Which one do you think the pupil of your eye will be smaller? And which one will your pupil go like this? Like, hey, which one will your pupil dilate? Sympathetic. Because bó ṣe rí láyọ̀ bá ojú ẹ̀ máa ràn and you will run. Do you get it? Let me just use, I don't know, let me list some things and you will now tell me. As I'm listing them, you write them. You put it under where you feel it should be. Pupils dilate. Do you get that? Pupils constrict. Parasympathetic. So normal, even you know normally now, so salivary gland is inhibited. Your salivary gland is inhibited. Is it simple or para? Think about it. Your salivary gland is inhibited. It should be simple. Do you think that you will see snake now? They will now put your love rice on the floor. Do you think your mouth will be watery? It will save your life first. You will even forget your love rice. I hope you are getting it. It's because Jam always asks this. That's why I'm spending time on it. So that you'll be able to reason it in exam more. Next one. Your heartbeat accelerates fast. Simple. Now, your lungs releases bronchi and it increases ventilation rates. Eh? It's simple. Because you will be breathing so fast, so you will need oxygen more, abi? So your bronchi will expand so that air can rush in. Do you get that? Opposite of those things is para. Listen to this one. Intestines now. Stimulates peristalsis and secretion of digestive juices. Eh? Para. Peristalsis will only happen ìgbà tọ́kùn ẹ balẹ̀ tó ń jẹun. That's when that will happen. Do you get that? Now listen to this one. Bladder stimulates contraction of urinary bladder, sphincter muscles, and relaxes bladder, delaying emptying. You know, normally, if tension comes, this one you are likely to make mistakes here because you might feel like if anything happen now, Asari Mato Sarah, but except that that one is shock. Shock is still different. Tito Sarah is not the case now. You that you are looking for where to run to Itolegwe. You don't start looking for Moveto. Ìtọ́gbọ̀n mi, ó ṣe rẹ̀, wàhálà kí bladder ti kún tó fi máa escape later. So at least you'll be able to still put that under control because you want to escape the danger first. Do you get that? So stimulates contraction of bladder sphincter muscle, relaxes bladder, delaying. So it stimulates the bladder sphincter muscles just to be contracting, but your bladder must still be relaxed. You want to delay emptying the bladder. You don't quickly go to the toilet and say, so le dimu, although it only might go, but you will still know how to hold it for that moment. So don't forget that. So inhibits contraction of urinary bladder, then contracts bladder, causing it to empty. So with this one now, you can easily go and urinate. Nothing is pursuing you. Now, gonads. Between you people under 18. Jam will tell you under 18. Jam did not say he's 18 that must write jam. They say it's 16. Because they know some things are true, you might not know the answer because you are young. There's a question on gonad. They said induces ejaculation. What's ejaculation? You are sure thoughts under reproduction. Which one will induce ejaculation? You people are young, you might not be able to think about that. Miriam, you know it. So the one that will induce ejaculation, that the male will quickly release his sperm is para anytime rebale. I mean simple. Anytime rebale ló ń ṣe love o. Anytime rebale kúrú ó ti lọ. 18. So you people are young for it. Which of the following is not true? Why are they asking you this? You are too young for this. Which of the following is not true? So listen, parasympathetic stimulates mediates penile erection. Parasympathetic. B. Sympathetic stimulates mediates ejaculation. Which of them is not true? Parasympathetic stimulation mediates peristalsis and digestion. Yes, now. It stimulates peristalsis, sabi? Parasympathetic, but sympathetic will not. Then, D. Sympathetic stimulation mediates constriction of the urinary bladder. It mediates the constriction of the urinary bladder. Yes, now, Abi, that's what we talked about. But the emptying of the bladder will be relaxed. So that is also true. So D is true, C is true, B is also true. Parasympathetic stimulates, mediates penile erection. Penile erection is not stimulated here. Shebi is inhibit. Okay, stimulate. Okay, that's in. Okay, stimulate erection. Okay. So option A, paras stimulation mediates penile erection is actually correct. Parasympathetic mediates penile erection. Sympathetic, is it mediates? Yes, it's also induces ejaculation, Abi. It increases ejaculation, so B is also correct. C, parasympathetic mediates peristalsis and digestion. That is also correct. Then D, oh, this one is sympathetic. Oh. Mediates constriction of the urinary bladder. If you look at it, it does now. Stimulate. So I think D is the answer. D constricts the urinary bladder, parasympathetic, but sympathetic relaxes. Relaxes is more like dilates the urinary bladder. It relaxes it. There are two different things. The muscle of the bladder contracts. The muscles, the sphincter, there's an opening at the muscle of the bladder that allows urine to come out. So that sphincter muscle controls the urine. So they are now saying that constriction of the bladder, that is parasympathetic. But relaxation of the bladder, which means that you only Sarah during sympathetic. She gets. There's relaxation of the bladder during sympathetic, and there's constriction of the bladder during parasympathetic. So please note this. These are the aspects they ask you in JAM. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, let's move on. So those are the things you need to know about para and sympathetic. Now, yes, muscle pump, muscle spasm is the same. Is bedwetting parasympathetic or iwabaje? When someone is asked to rotting, heart broken, with spinal cord tells the person not to do that again. Ask your parents. I've never been heartbroken. Can I rub the board? How will spinal cord tell you if your heart's broken not to do it again? Don't ask me foolish questions. So now, let's quickly see how coordination goes. So we have what we call neurons. Please. Neurons are the basic units of the nervous system. Neurons are the basic units of the nervous system. We now have what we call sensory neurons. So there are different types of neurons. Are you following? We have what we call sensory neuron, we have what we call motor neuron, and we have what we call relay neuron. So when you're talking about sensory neurons receive information from receptors. So they receive information from receptors. Motor neurons takes information from CNS. This one takes it to the CNS, from receptors to CNS. Then this one takes from CNS, that's central nervous system, to affector, effector, to effector organs or muscles. While relay neuron is usually seen in spinal cord, it serves between sensory and motor neuron. So this is what happened. You have a stimulus. When you have a stimulus, your eye enter the stimulus, or your skin or any of your sensitivity parts sees the stimulus. Then what picks the stimulus is called the receptor. Then the receptor sends the information which is carried by the sensory neuron. And the sensory neuron carries it to the brain or the spinal cord, as the case may be. Now, the brain sends the information back through the motor neuron. Then the motor neuron relates with the effector organ, which can be muscles. Now, let's say that there's a pin pokes your skin. On your skin, there's a receptor for pain that picks up the poke. And that's information that is carried by this. You know, when you touch your skin is the receptor. Then the neuron that touch your skin, we are going to draw skin soon. There's a neuron that touch your skin. That neuron that touch your skin is called sensory neuron. So it will sense the information and quickly pick it, carry it around your body, and go and tell your brain that ọmọ tó ń coordinate kò mà gbádùn, ó mà ti lọ fọwọ́ gún rìn. Brain will now say that ìwọ náà lọ sọ fóyá. This one is one that brain will now tell. Go and tell him to remove his hand. Then you now remove your hand. That's how the coordination works. Do you get it? So immediately you touch it, neurons runs there, you remove your hand. Then your brain will now register it. Then anytime you see something like that, it is dangerous. Don't touch it. Or you put your hand in fire. Or you see a very delicious food, like jollof and fried rice. And your saliva, your eyes first see it. Ojú ẹran, and you start salivating. Your receptors are the eyes now that have seen it. Someone tells you that you scored 377 in your JAMB. What is the receptor that will hear it? Then sensory neuron from your ear will carry it to the brain. And the next thing is your brain will tell you, so that is what you have. Now, let's draw the neuron and we'll talk about reflex action. So the neuron, the general diagram of neuron. So this is a typical neuron. So please listen. Without wasting much time, this part of your neuron is called dendrites. Dendrites. Dendrites used to receive information. This is called the nucleus. This part here, I don't know why some of you are talking. I don't know. This part is called your cell body. While the rest is called your axon. Axon. So, these parts, they are called the myelin sheaths. Don't worry, they will label it and say what did they label. This part is called Schwann cell. Ta ló pọ́nkú? Ṣé wọ́n ló pọ́nkú? Fìlà orí ẹ̀bí tàwọn ọmọ Chelsea. This part is called node of Ranvier. This guy is called axon. Axon. Why these guys? They are called synaptic nerve. The space between one synapse, one neuron, and another neuron is called the synapse or the synaptic space. So this is the structure of a neuron, and they can ask you. So information is carried, then it travels down the neuron. There's a process that this guy undergoes. Polarization, depolarization, and all of those things. And the ions that are involved in electrical impulses here. The ions are potassium and sodium ion. So that's the structure of a neuron. The next thing we want to quickly look at is reflex action. So reflex action. So reflex action, Yabeji. Reflex action is a quick response to stimulus. Are you true? Oh yeah, let's quickly talk about hormones. Node of Ranvier. Are you there? So in this synaptic nerve, there are some chemicals. Those chemicals are acetylcholine or neurotransmitter. They will be released from the synaptic node. The gap between a neuron and another neuron is called synapse. Synaptic. So when you have a neuron and another neuron, because it's a chain, then the gap between them is called synapse. Are you there? Are you? I already said it yesterday that you can start paying for your degree. You can pay to your class reps, you can pay to the secretary. Just submit your JAM registration number and your name. So pay to them, pay just like $500. Pay to them. Ayé ìsìn nǹkan wọ́n sí o, èdè kàwé o. Can I rock the board now? Axon is the extension of the cell body. The extension of the cell body. So, reflex action. So, your rapid responses to stimulus. Your rapid responses to stimulus is what we call reflex. So you respond rapidly. That's what we call reflex action. And reflex action usually involves sensory neuron, relay neuron, and motor neuron, all in spinal cord. Spinal cord coordinates the activities. So in your reflex, let's say this is your spinal cord. I'm just making it big. Due to the presence of the cell body in some parts, we have what we call the gray matter. So, this part is the dorsal part. This part is the ventral part. So let's say you touch fire suddenly. Then the neuron in your body, which has the Z in a root, that part of the spinal cord where the egg is, we call it the dorsal root ganglia. Then there will be another neuron which will come out, which will not pass information to. This place is called the dorsal root ganglia. Now, when you put your hand in fire, you touch it with your skin. The receptors, the neurons, I'm not drawing the full neuron now. I'm just using the thread. And this is the end of the neuron. The head is present in roots. Then from here, this is the sensory neuron. So it takes information from your skin, then takes it through the spinal cord. Then it passes the information to another neuron. This neuron that carries the information is called sensory neuron. Then it passes to another neuron in the spinal cord. There is a gap between the two neurons. That gap is called the synapse. Then this one is called the relay neuron. Relay, it relays information from the sensory neuron to the motor neuron. That's why we call it relay neuron. And it is usually found in the spinal cord or in the CNS. So now, this one is called the motor neuron. Now, this information of you putting your hand in fire, it did not get to the brain quickly. Immediately gets to the spinal cord. Then, it will tell you to quickly remove your hand. So it passed from the back to the front. That's why it is called dorsal and ventral. Ventral is the front. Dorsal is the back. So the information goes like that. Then your muscle, you quickly react. Then you remove your hand solid. And that is what we are talking about here. This one is for another region, another thing is for its own. But you need to understand this, because Dan can ask you questions on that. So when spinal cord is the one making decision on behalf of the brain, then we call that reflex action. That's called reflex action. Is that it? So now, after the information, after you have removed your hand, you will still feel the sensation. Then your brain will now get the information. You know that it's like something happened in climax, but because I'm not around, and someone already have taken charge of everything that happened, put it under control. Then later, the information is just getting to me. Then I'm not saying that next time. So that's what the brain will now do. So the other ancestries are the nerves, the nerves, So now, note something. Your spinal cord is protected. Let's say this is your spinal cord. This spinal cord, please, anywhere you see most of these black things, they are usually concentrated with cell bodies. You have enough cell bodies here. Anywhere you see that is white, you have what we call the axon. A lot of the axons are there when they are white. But when you see that they are like this, they will have the cell bodies. Now listen, your spinal cord is protected by some layers. So some layers protect your spinal cord.
Kids are shouting now.
A lot of you are in this class. You are just talking. I'll leave the class now. So, the first layer that protects your spinal cord, we call it the pia mater. Then, the middle layer after the pia mater. So they can ask you that the inner layer that protects the spinal cord, the inner is pia. The middle layer is what? Arachnoid. And the last one is dura. So female, you remember this thing. So it's not connected. The noise is affecting. You see, you people are shouting. Even me, I cannot even hear myself. Let the low people online. You are shouting. Please. If I look back and I see your mouth move, you are going on. So that we know the rest of us that are left. Yes. I only my one. Who is Ayomide Maiwa? Go and tell the parents that it's not come. So we have three parts that protect the spinal cord. If they ask you, the inner layer that protects it is called pia mater. The second layer is called arachnoid. And the last outer layer is called dura mater. So you can remember part. Is that taking part? From the inside to the outside. So that's that. Now, please, your sensory neuron is also known as afferent neuron. Sensory neuron is also known as afferent neuron. Why the words? Which other one? The motor neuron is also known as effector or efferent neuron. Now, there's a fluid that protects your brain. All these guys protect your brain. There are layers on your brain, so they just extend. So that fluid that is between, that helps your brain to act as cushion, that fluid is called cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. Cerebrospinal. So the cerebrospinal fluid protects the brain. And if one has, and yes, I've checked that before too. When I did my presentation when I was in the so I was reading about cerebrospinal fluid. I presented on that. But this morning again, my lecturer said that you can take a spinal tap in case someone has an infection and you want to collect this fluid so that maybe meningitis and all. And you remember treponema pallidum, you remember syphilis, so you will just take it and take so the person who sits down, I learned about it then when I was away. That was when I was in 300. That's so because it's all even part of my course, but I still learned about many of these aspects. So you sit on the table and you bend your back. Then there are some parts of the vertebra that you can put injection to take the fluid. But if you do it wrongly, the person will never walk again. So, spinal tap. Sometimes I used to wonder, like, being a medical doctor takes a lot of risks. It takes a lot of risks. How do you look at human being and start treating them? And your mind is that the person should be okay. You can imagine human being like you It's a different thing if you are treating rats and rats not die. Someone like you are treating the person and the person will not die. It's the way they used to bring their bodies. That's a surprise. For those that stretch their back, can they break their spinal cord? And you are in this class. I'm sure that person is not in this class. I've been teaching you since morning that you don't break your spinal cord. You break your backbone. That's why you are studying. When you go outside there now, and then someone is saying that, I don't break my spinal cord. But if you're not going to can really big or not, because it's a spinal cord, it's a spinal cord. It is the backbone. The spinal cord runs through the backbone. We have wasted too much time on this. So, what are the examples of reflex action? Examples of reflex action. New jab. Which other one? Withdrawal. Blinking of the eye. I want you people to learn, that's why I did the practical. Learning. Can I run the ball now? So let's talk about modes. So if it is going to be a reflex action, then it's going to be from the receptor, that's from the, what's it called, stimulus to the receptor, to the sensory neuron, to the relay neuron. In that case now, to motor neuron, then to an effector. So let's talk about hormones. Hormones are chemicals secreted directly into the bloodstream. They are released from ductless glands. So you need to note that. And in quick summary, I'll just put head, so there's the head region, there's the neck region, there's the upper abdomen, there's the lower abdomen, and there's the gonad. What do we have here? Okay, pancreas. Renal pancreas. So can fall. So around the head we have the pituitary gland. All these hormones, they are under the influence of hypothalamus. So hypothalamus controls an hormone that is around the head region. That hormone is not really a hormone, child. The pituitary gland, it's a gland. This pituitary gland controls every other gland. So pituitary gland is called the master gland. Pituitary gland is called the master gland because it controls every other gland. And don't forget that all the glands that are here, they are ductless glands. And we call them ductless glands because they secrete their substances directly into the blood. So, the pituitary gland, we now have two parts of the pituitary gland too. We have what we call anterior pituitary gland, and we have what we call the posterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland. Anterior pituitary gland and posterior. So, anterior pituitary gland secretes growth hormone, prolactin, adenocorticotropic hormone. That's the anterior growth hormone, prolactin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, luteinizing hormone. Is it part of it? Luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, that's thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. So all these are produced by anterior pituitary gland. Now, it's not off, they just control other glands. Growth hormone, that one control growth. How the body grows. That's just that one. Prolactin, production of milk by the mother. This one controls milk production. Is that taking? Yes. Adrenocorticotropic hormone controls the adrenal gland. So that the adrenal gland can secrete adrenaline. Which you don't give up. Luteinizing hormone secretes, stimulates ovulation. When you want to, during your menstrual period, menstrual cycle, the hormones that are involved are luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, progesterone, and estrogen. But this stimulates ovulation. The follicle stimulating hormone stimulates maturity of follicles or ovules or egg. So the ovary will ripe and give egg. That is what this guy does. He stimulates it. Thyroid stimulating hormone stimulates the thyroid gland. So it stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroxine. All of these things happen at the head region. Then the pituitary hormone, the posterior pituitary gland, produce what we call ADH. What is ADH? Antidiuretic hormone. And antidiuretic hormone, what does it do? So antidiuretic hormone stimulates water reabsorption. Stimulates water reabsorption at the loop of N. That's the job. So water should be reabsorbed in the kidney. That is done by antidiuretic hormone. This also produces estrogen. Is it estrogen? No. Oxytocin, yes. It's the ovary that produces those proteins. That's very important. I was testing you. So, oxytocin, when you want to give birth, and that place that is very small, we have to get bigger. It is oxytocin that causes it. So, video contraction during childbirth. That is controlled by oxytocin. Oh yeah, let's go to the neck. They can ask you the region where it is produced and what is produced. Neck. At the neck, at the front part, we have the thyroid gland. So for the neck now, at the front of the neck, we have the thyroid gland. And you know what thyroid gland does? It produces thyroxine. Right? Thyroxine increases metabolic activities. And you grow properly. Increases metabolic activities and you grow properly. Then, this thyroxine, before it functions, it requires iodine. That's why you take things that has iodine so that it can react to the thyroxine. But if you don't have iodine, there will be oversecretion, or this guy will just be plenty in your body. So, and you remember, oversecretion has a function, undersecretion has a function. So, oversecretion of thyroxine will lead to what? Undersecretion of thyroxine will lead to what? Oh yeah, undersecretion. Oversecretion of the growth hormone is what leads to gigantism. Why undersecretion of the growth hormone under leads to dwarfism. Why oversecretion leads to what? Gigantism. Is that taking? Now, one of these leads to cretinism. Under or over? Cretinism in children. So it leads to cretinism. Just try to solve questions. Your exam is next week. So the more you solve questions, the more these things will now stay in your brain. Especially those of you that are just slept. You don't have time to go and be reading one textbook now. Just pick your past question. Solve it. It's over here that sorry if you here your money continue again. To buy the review, you fair pass that there are really our textbooks to continue. To buy the solve past question, not that you go meet you go see how you must solve until your exam. Oversecretion for hyperactivity. There is calcitonin. Thyroid gland also produces calcitonin. Calcitonin reduces blood calcium. Calcitonin reduces blood calcium. So the blood calcium in the body reduces. That's the function of calcitonin. Is that taken? Same at that neck, but at the back, there are 4 lobes like that. So at the back of the neck, not at the front now, there are 4 lobes like this. They are called parathyroid at the back of thyroid. Then they give parathormone. This parathormone increase calcium level in the blood. So that's the function of parathormone. Are you writing? I'm in this class. Am I teaching myself? No. See a sheet of paper. I want to ask you questions from everywhere we started. Some of you are not right. You have pride. So, at the upper abdomen, we have so at this part now, we have adrenal gland that is present on top of your kidney. So here we have adrenal gland. What does adrenal gland secrete? Adrenaline. So adrenaline is your fight or flight hormone. So it's the one that tones your muscle when it comes to fight. So when you are ready to fight and your muscles and brain and everything is towards fight, then your adrenaline is in control. So your adrenaline is called the danger hormone. Emergency hormone. So can we move on? At these other parts, at the lower abdomen, you have the pancreas. I hope you can get what I'm writing. Pancreas, this guy secretes two hormones. One from beta cell of islets of Langerhans. Let me do it this way. Pancreas hormone secretes hormone from the islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. In the pancreas, we have what we call the islets of Langerhans. The islets of Langerhans have two cells, more than two cells. But for this class, it has the alpha cell, it has the beta cell. The alpha cell produces glucagon. The beta cell produces insulin. Insulin and glucagon are very useful in homeostasis. They help you to regulate blood sugar level. When you have too much sugar in your body, insulin converts glucose to what? Glycogen. So let me put it here. Glucose will be converted to glycogen by insulin. But when you need glucose in your body and you have it stored as glycogen, glycogen is going to be converted back to glucose by glucagon. Say glucagon. Glucose. Insulin. So glucagon. Glucagon. using insulin, which is from beta cells of the islets of Langerhans, while glucagon converts glycogen to glucose. When there is deficiency of these guys, or there is deformities or they are not produced, then there will be a problem. Sir, please, can you explain the meaning of islets of Langerhans? Which of the following is the function of the hormone secreted in the islets of Langerhans? I think I just explained it, so the person should know. A is used in protein metabolism. Is islets of Langerhans used in protein metabolism? It's involved in sugar synthesis. Is it involved in sugar synthesis? Hold your thoughts. C, the rate at which glucose is converted to glycogen. D, controls the fluid, controls pH. So it says the rate at which glucose is converted to glycogen and vice versa. Are you there? Testosterone, we have a deep voice from Skeletal. Testosterone. That's it. You will have here on your chests. You have a lot of beards. I don't know. But Emmanuel is still. For ovary, although there's a cell that produces, if that you need the production, there's a part of the ovulation system that's the corpus luteum produce progesterone. You remember? Very good. So ovary produce estrogen, which develops female secondary sexual character. So that's that. It's the female that knows their secondary sexual character. Right, no. So, female, you can describe your own. For boys, we used to have hair on our chests, we used to have beards, we used to have big boys, we used to have an example. So, the female representative, blessed. What do you For female sexual character, we have to go it. Female have big boys. They have a touch. They are both female to have testosterone. But it's not just so that is the thing. Is there any other thing? So for the plant hormone, what are the plant hormones? Can we quickly list them? Can I rock the ball? Yes? We have different plants of moon.
You guys are shouting.
Four plants. We have ortiz. Please, let's be quiet. We have the berry, transparent. We have cyto. We have salicylic acid. We have ethylene. So, first is, where do you see these hormones? the apexes. Roots and stem apexes. That's where you see auxin. If you see a plant, at the tip of the plant is where you usually have auxin concentration. And don't forget, auxin always stay away from light. Auxin stays away from light. Don't forget that. We use that in the experiments. So auxin will allow roots and stem elongation. So, because they are the one that bring about growth of the plants, so the plants will be getting taller at the roots and at the stem. So that's one of the functions, or the main functions of auxin. Gibberellin is usually found in seed and fruits. So the dormancy of seed and fruits depends on gibberellin. So it helps to break seed dormancy during germination. So if you want your seed to quickly germinate, add gibberellin. Is that taken? It also helps elongation of stems too. It's hard to eat. But this is important for gibberellin. Cytokinin, lateral elongation. Lateral elongation. One of them used to cause leaf abscission. Lateral elongation of all these branches of plants that will grow tall, grow long. Then cytokinin helps. Are you there? The plants batting cool, cytokinin is implicated. Abscisic acid, opposite of this, causes synesis. Plant synesis. The plant is come out the way that what's over. It inhibits so most of these questions are new, but it came out there's one English they used to use that is not in the school. I forgot something. Ethylene. Ripening of fruits. That's that. So in a short time, let's talk skeletal system. Hypercalcemia, overproduction of potassium. In hyperglycemia, there is glucose. Yes, it's oversaturation of calcium. Hyperglycemia. That's what that is. is actually what it is.
Sam.
Yes, it ages and it starts falling off. The leaves. That's the
Sam. Which one is for cell elongation? Cell elongation.
cell elongation. Is it not for this stem? Which of the cell? Stem elongation. Cell. I think this one will be more for cell because of the vision that is taking place. So please, for the very name, put cell elongation. Even that synesis, and then antithetic and cytokinin. For root and stem elongation, it is unseen. Is there anything like aging plants? The synesis. So please, cytokinin inhibits aging in leaves. Synesis is aging. The plants age and start falling off. Please, so most are common questions, especially these plants of more, and people used to make mistakes with. Can we quickly talk about skeletal system? Or you already know skeletal system? Oh, sense organ. Please, let me quickly describe the sense organ. Can I run to God now? For sense organs, the sense, what are your sense organs? Maximum two. Yes, primary school. So let's quickly describe the sense organs. There are common areas they can ask you questions. And I need to tell you something about the skin. Where is melanin produced in the skin? Please. Mammalian layer, is it part of the epidermis or dermis or the epidermis? So now you can need that t-shirt. The pain is the touches. Oh yeah. Yes. Genetics. I even have a video on genetics. Even if we don't do genetics, ecology, all these parts now, I didn't teach them. I trust the people that taught them, and that's why maybe a lot of you are responding. But all those genetics, in case you are here for the first time, I taught genetics, I taught evolution, I taught ecology, everything is on the live video. So, those are the ones you just need to add to what we have done. If you have added it to any system, you are okay. Adaptation is there. Adaptation is there. Just go and watch it all through the night. Watch the one for genetics and the life. What's the largest one in the body? Can we go? So please, if you want us to go on time, please keep quiet this time. Please. Okay, we want to quickly look at sense organs before skeletal system. So for sense organs, we have the eye, we have the head, we have the nose, which you are going to do. We have the mouth. I just spend all so you have got this master, but I'm going to so quickly, for done. The part of the tongue is bitter. Which part of the tongue is bitter? This place is so that's why you need to be by your thoughts. Then for the eyes. inside there is vitreous. So, just a quick diagram, you can go and draw it on the. We have the axial small, then inside we have the vitreous. That's what is different. Where there are no lights at all. This phobia is this place. Yeah, somebody like to marry the relationship. That is the things. Ruler cannot be romantic at all. Not worry, guys. Vitreous humor, please. Vitreous humor. You will not let it go. Let me do Axial humor, lens. They help in refraction of light. Is that taking? Is that taking?
Gimme.
The pupil. What's the function of pupil?
Allows light to enter the eye.
That's where light center.
Yes, sir.
Allows entry of
Entry of light to the edge.
Oh, your time, maka.
Down now.
So, pupil allows entry of lights. Are you there? Iris controls the amount of light that enters the eye. Is that taking? Iris. Then ciliary muscle. Please know the difference. So what's the function of iris?
Control the amount of light.
Ciliary muscle controls the focus. It controls the lens. So it will increase the focus increase the focus depending on how it is. So it's the one that will be controlling the lens. Retina. Retina is where image is formed. Is that taken? So retina is where image is formed. Now your eye is new to feed. The choroid is the one that feeds the eye. So what does choroid do? It supplies nutrients to the eye. Choroid supplies nutrients to the eye. Are you there? Then the scleroid. It's actually scleroid. I mean this scleroid. So that's the one that serves as the protective layer. It protects the eye from mechanical damage. So you have done physics. You know the problems of the eye. Myopia, astigmatism, presbyopia, and how you can correct them. So please, those are the things that are important here. So learn about the eyes. If you don't know, learn about the eyes defects and how you can correct them. Is that taking? Oh yeah, let's draw the hair. Can I rub the ball? Please, let's be quiet. I think it's the math students that are being nice. How many math students are here? If there's any math student I see here, you actually what they go to my solve math problems. Left and right. And we'll still be waiting for someone. Can we move on? Can I run the board now? So let's run it. So please. Note something, hello. There are cells in the eyes that allow you to see. We have what we call the rod. We have the rod and the cone cells. Cone cell is sensitive to bright lights or colors. Is that taking? Rod is from this word D, sensitive to dim lights. But there's a blind spot in the eye. It's okay. The blind spot does not have the cells. So that's why the blind spot is not sensitive to light. If you are listening to all the things we have been doing and you went to Camden, watch those videos on ecology, genetics, variation, evolution that we have done before, it's still on the live session. If you watch them today, tomorrow, and you solve all of those questions, I think you can score a book. Let's say you don't even know book at all. You can score a book to it. Oh, and honestly, it's 280 to get you nothing. It might not just get you this, but it will get you lost. If you still know what you are doing. I'm not saying you should be preparing for 280. I'm talking to those that maybe they have not even been serious for a very long time, or they've not been preparing for a while, or they didn't start this class with us. Now, I've got you a lot of parts now, systems, and there is genetics, there is ecology, there's all those ones on our live session. Watch them to complete it. So let's quickly look at the end. So looking at the structure here, this is the pinna. Please. The pinna controls the sound waves that enters the air. But through the auditory canal. Auditory canal is also called spatial tube. What's this one called? Yeah, no. Auditory canal. But it's also called spatial.
Spatial tube is that impact.
We have the obvious because then these ones are your semi-circular. Are you doing? The inside there, this place is your body. There's a fluid inside the body. There's only organ. So that's the basic structure of the hair. So here comes in, I think it's these two that balance the air pressure. That's the station. So that is the structure of the air. There are some kind of that prevents kind of things from entering your air. So quickly for jam, this is what you need to know. So we have the middle ear. The middle ear is your eardrum, malleus, impulse, and stapes. I think malleus is also known as hammer. Impulse is also known as anvil. And this one is known as styro. So don't forget, I used to remember as Miss Pass. So malleus is also known as hammer. But what are their functions quickly? Auditory canal, that's the air passage. So that's the sound. So the sound passage. So the pinna collects the air waves and it enters the air. Then the eardrum vibrates. So when the sound strikes the eardrum, then the eardrum vibrates to transmit the sound. Increase it, then send it to the cochlea. Utriculus and circulus. So the semicircular canal, when you shake your head too much or you do Baba mi ò lè bẹ́, Baba mi ò lè bẹ́. Láti àwọn ọmọ ọlọ́pàá rẹ̀. So this helps to balance. So that is involved in body balancing, the semicircular canal. So know their functions. The smallest here, the smallest bone is part of these guys. That is the stapes or the spiral. Please note that. That is the smallest bone. Is that thinking? The cochlea. So the information that is sent to your ear, you hear it through the cochlea. So this is the organ of hearing. HH, hearing. But there are a lot of things involved before you can hear. How the information is sent through the organ of cortisol. The endocrine, that's the liquid in the cochlea. It will vibrate and send the information to the nerves, and it will be transmitted in your brain. So that's it. Can I rub the blood? Yeah, let's look and see. Are you there? Are you ready? Can I roll the ball?
No, sir.
These two verbs to balance air pressure. Is that it? Verbs to balance air pressure. So far, so good. Cell Have you even thought to respiratory system?
Yes.
And you would have done respiratory system. Exactly. Is that said to me? Can I rub the board now? So let's quickly look at this. Oh yeah, now. Are people still following on? Or they are giving up? Don't give up, it's not over. So follow. You can watch ecology, genetics. All of you that are watching should go and subscribe. People subscribe to our channel. You know we love you. We're gonna see us next time. Subscribe to our channel, like, share, comment.
This is their constructive life.
Follow.
Like and share. Subscribe, guys. Welcome to our YouTube channel.
When you finish the exam next week, big medicine this year. That you should be careful of the schools you go. Many of you hear that schools just starting medicine. Next time, because you admit me, you quickly rush there. Up till now, Federal University of Ilorin, anybody doing medicine here, wash and shake. They are not promoting nothing because they are not sure if the medicine is not accredited yet. As at the last time we went there, thank you. The last time we went there for their matriculation, they are not accredited yet. So, now, another one is footer. Some footer guys now, their mates are supposed to be 500 level, but they already stopped like 300 level. They are not progressing because the medicine is not accredited yet. And you know, since medicine has started in footer, we have students in medicine. Many of these schools, they are not accredited yet. Be careful. Don't because it's easy to enter here 4 years from now. They are facing it. Many schools are facing it. Go and check very well if they are accredited. And they will not tell you. Their names will be there. You will do part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. You will not see the you will not say, you can just go and take microbiology so that you can graduate. Or they will say you should wait until you are accredited, and that can take 5 minutes. You continue to play. So please, there are schools that are known already that they have medicine and all of those things. But because of this, and some of you will still feel like competition there is not over. So please, after jam, we are going to start pursuits here 2 weeks after jam. So when you have seen your results, so we just go and rest. You go and don't go to So everybody will go, all the hostel students, everybody. So for in case of innovation and everything, so you mark your response very well. So those that know they are coming from the so you mark your response very well. So that the type to communicate all your friends. But if you know you are not coming from those back on your notes very well. Because some of you your notes, you'll stay. Maybe it's when you now want to enter school, then now come back and woman that big people needed you for grammars. Once they beg you sit down. So please, is that taking? Please, when you think about your school, Unilag, OEU, UI, Latex has had medicine for many of them. And the lab was meeting that is future. So we are not on Latex graduates. So please, let's talk about skin. And no, it's okay. Know when to be quiet and know when to talk. When we say let's start, then you keep quiet. So for the skin, we have 3 major layers of skin. If I want to at 60, So normally you don't draw an label like this, but just to make the right ornaments. So you can see all the lines are conventional. It's not supposed to be dots. Just to quickly show the two things. So the most important thing is don't forget that the part of the skin that divides, it has some cells that divides. That is the mammalian layer. And you can ask that where is melanin produced in the skin? That is the mammalian layer. And that's what we call melanocytes. And they show the acid part of this. Pain receptor touches the upper part of the skin. Touch receptor touch what's it called? This granular layer is what it touches. Then the dead layer is the conified layer. So just note those things. Then the sebaceous gland gives rise to sebum or oil, while the sweat gland gives rise to sweat. And that's the rectal. So that's that. So this is the largest organ in the body. Are you too? So skeletal system. Can I run the phone? If you don't have access to this 18 October, as you check your exam results, you may have to wait till the exam updates before and they put the results on. And that might take time to beat. So write things in bold. Whether the rest of let's do it. That's not what I'm doing. All this one I just started. Shall go and face. Anywhere you want to go, go. Go and face it. Go and face it. At the end of the day, we are surviving. It's part of the experience. So just go to wherever you feel you want to go. Where you want to go. We are in Nigeria. Can I rock the ball? Should we do skeletal system now? But the thing is that the competition does not reduce. People that will still fight hard for winning will still fight. But we can't keep wasting our time. There are some of it, it's 100% sure that you are a winner. You just need to. And you are this year, I have been more than 350. But they are still complaining at the faculty. Our HOD also said this morning that there's 350 people that are coming. And the class is not complaining us. When they released the list, they said they needed to go 3. So all the numbers are both, they said minus. Meaning that in every class, they still want to send some people in. Because the class cannot contain everybody. So what depends on everybody is shared at them. So 350 they are complaining, the HOD said when they get to the place they will cross it. Federal government said that all our universities should produce more doctors. More quantities, but no quality. Because without education, you cannot accept it. You don't like to examine how people. So the way it is like to survive. But they will now acquire some potential markets with these courses. And they will use that. Are you true? Hello, it's okay, please. It's okay. When they say it's okay, you are not good. You are not good. When they say it's okay, it's okay. That's when some of you will still act like goods. Must they show you pepper before you have sex? When they say it's okay, it's okay. Please. So we finish skeletal system. Please, let's read the mind words. Please. You are still shouting. I can see your voices. Can you keep quiet, please? If you keep quiet, you will know. You don't know how much stress it is that your noise is entering everywhere. And as much as possible, I'm processing many things by own rate. Please. So for skeletal system, it's not hard. But they ask questions there too. I'm going to tell you all the important things you need to know of skeletal system. Skeletal system is just talking about the framework of the body. The framework. Everything about your body. And it's the same for almost all of us, aside the babies. Now, when you're looking at skeletal system, we have what we call the skeletal materials. The skeletal system has a lot of functions. The skeletal materials are the chitin, the cartilage, and the bones. When cartilage gets ossified through a process called ossification, please, let's use our brain now, please. Through a process called ossification, we have bone. Cartilage gets stronger. You add calcium and all the necessary things, they form bones. The cells of the cartilage, which we call the living cell of the cartilage, that they can ask you, is called the chondroblast. The one for bones is called osteocytes. Osteocytes are of two types. Abby, we have the osteoclasts and osteoblasts. Osteoblast is the one that helps in formation of bones. While osteoclast is the one that helps in destruction of bones. For chitin is just those structures you see in arthropods or mollusks that is made of CaCO3, calcium carbonates. Now, cartilage, soft, bone, very strong. For cartilage, we have three types of cartilage. We have fibrocartilage, we have hyaline cartilage, and we have elastic cartilage. And they can ask you of the examples of fibrocartilage from the fibros. Which ones are these? So most of your joints, the vertebral column, the vertebral disc, that's where you have fibro. Is there another example? For any? You see this one around the trachea, around the bronchi. Surface of. So, hyaline cartilage, yes. It's also find that the movable joints. So don't forget, the vertebral disc, the synovium, the back, all those bones. You have the fibrocartilage. Elastic. So the ear. So you have the elastic cartilage. Is that it? So they can ask any of these examples of cartilage. Find a way to remember them. Then, they can ask you process of forming bone from cartilage is ossification. Now, we now have different types of skeletons. Not the classification now. For the types of skeleton, we have what we call endoskeleton. And the most common one is endoskeleton. That is the skeleton within the body. Abby? All of you know what that is talking about. We have the exoskeleton. Those are the ones that have skeleton outside their body, like the arthropods, so Egypt, and so on. Some of you, this is the period you are supposed to give 100% attention. Because even for the things you have been reading all this while, you have not really been getting it there. And some of you have not even been reading. But this period now, you are supposed to use your energy effectively. All the things you have been saying since morning, don't let it be a waste. There's no reason for the marathons we have done so far. That I can't stop about it. There's no reason. Anything below 280 shows you are not serious. That's just it. That's the conclusion. If you like, hide your results. Problem here. If I see your 160, even if I will abuse you, at least I'll find a way to still support your life. Because you have a long way to go. That's what that does means. But if you like, hide your results, hide your life. You will still be meeting in the future. So, but instead of this, we take opportunity of everything now. We will not make use of it. Then we have what we call hydroskeleton. Hydroskeleton is what we call fluid pressure. Use fluid pressure. And the example of organisms that exhibit, most of these ones are arthropods. Arthropods, exoskeleton, mollusks. And don't forget, arthropods, they shed it. And through the process of ecdysis, or molting. Ecdysis is also known as molting. That's the shedding of external skeleton. So hydrostatic skeleton is in the earthworm. So don't forget that. Is that okay? So let's now look at classification of skeletons now. Based on the central parts and the peripheral parts. Can I rub the ball? No. I can rub this. So, let's look at the general classification now of skeleton. I can rub this now. So for the classification, we have the axial skeleton, and from the word axial, it means axis. Then we have appendicular. Those are the ones outside. Medial, lateral. Can I rub the door? So we have a part called the axial skeleton. For the adult bone, how many bones we have? 206 in adults, 300 in children. So please, for the axial skeleton, we are talking about the central parts of the body. So starting from your head, the skull. So you have the skull, followed by the sternum. That's the sternum. The sternum. Yes. The sternum. That's the breastbone. That's the bone that all your ribs are attached to. So just say sternum and ribs. Then the vertebra. So all your backbones, thoracic and everything, then they form your axial skeleton. Now, they're not about the skull, frontal, we have the orbital. If you remove your eye, the whole of your eye is called orbital. So you have the chin, that part is called the mental. a whole lot for the head. But how many ribs do we have? We have 12 pairs of ribs. How many have floating? Floating ribs. For the vertebrae, the vertebrae, we have starting from the neck to the chest, to the abdominal region, to the corner region or the tail. To the neck, you have the cervical. How many cervical? At the chest, you have the how many? Then you have the at the abdominal. You have the lumbar. Lumbar is how many? Then you have the sacral. Sacral is also. Then you have the that will fuse together to form the coccyx. So they fuse together to form the coccyx. Now, this is where you need to listen very well. For the 7 cervical, the first one is called atlas. Please listen. The first one is called atlas. C comes before X. After atlas is axis before the rest. Now, what do you need to know about these two guys? Axis has what we call odontoid process. The odontoid process is what atlas will fit in and enter. Then the head will now rest on it, the skull. So, you are able to say no because of the odontoid process. So you can rotate your head on the axis. So, atlas is the one that carries the skull. So the skull rests on the atlas directly. Is that taken? And these guys, atlas lack centrum. All these are the important things you need to know now. This one lack centrum. Centrum. Then you have the rest of the cell. But for cervical generally, understand something. One thing is peculiar to them. The vertebratal canal. Vertebratal canal is common to the cervical. And this vertebratal canal, it allows blood vessels. I want to believe this, the people that are not involved in this class are talking. Everybody at that back, all those guys, go outside. Go open that door, let them go outside. That guy wearing cap following him and he wants to do so sit here now. The 3 of you outside. On time, don't waste my time, please. You can go and be playing outside. There's no reason. You can hear me. I said the guy on cap and the guy wearing white beside him. You can go and be pressing your phone outside. There's no need to be disturbing us. You are done with maths. You are not doing anything. If I see you talking, you join them too. If you are not doing what we are doing here, go outside. So we have the vertebrate canal, and that is common to cervical. Most of the other ones don't have it. It allows blood to be supplied to the head region, and that is why it's important. So don't forget the canal scale. Are you there? Thoracic. Thoracic is the one that has a long neural spine. So thoracic has a long neural spine, and that differentiates it. I'm sending you outside. So it has a long neural spine for articulation of ribs. So there's the front part, there's the all those ones. Then you have your lumbar. Lumbar carries the load of the body, the weight of the body. Hence, lumbar has large centrum, so that the body can rest on it. All these are simple things made to take note of. The sacra is below your, at the lower, after the lumbar, you have the sacra. They are fine for them too. They fuse with your pelvic girdle. Pelvic is here. So the sacra fuse together and they join the pelvic girdle. Then the coccyx, that is the tail region. So it's fused together too. So don't worry, we'll soon be through. Now, just note one or two things I've said. There is a part of the zygapophysis. We have the post-zygapophysis and the pre-zygapophysis for articulation of the vertebra. The vertebra, first one, second one, they link up, they insert. So all these are what help them to fix up together. So next that. So the vertebra articulates. Then we have transverse processes for articulation of muscles. So the attachment of muscles for the transverse processes. So let's not forget that. Let's move on. Now, what else for the axial? Those are the major things you need to know. Is there any other thing we've not talked about? Then we have the appendicular skeleton. For the appendicular skeleton, we have two types: pectoral and pelvic. So we call them the girdles. So the upper part is the pectoral girdle. So the pectoral girdle has, you have a polar bone here. This bone here is called the clavicle. Then you have this part. That part, the triangular part. That looks like triangle at your back. So that one is called the scapula. So for pectoral, you have the clavicle, you have the scapula. Now, still at the upper parts, then you have your limbs. These ones are called girdles. Then you have the limbs. The limbs are two types. The forelimbs and the hindlimbs. These are your forelimbs. So let's describe everything. We don't always, it's part of it, but it's to fuse. There are three: the clavicle, scapular, and the thorax. But most times these are the two we're talking about. Which one? It's just like this. There's the front and the back. So when the bones are arranged, there's a way they keep. It's just like my left hand facing my. So one will face up, free. One can be at the back, posts. So one bone below articulates with the one above by facing each other. So that part is where you have what we call the sacrifices. And they keep arranging like that. Do you get? So it's their points of articulation for the bones. For your clavicle and scapula, they fuse together with the forelimbs. So these are the forelimbs. Now, 4 or 5. That's what we call pentadactyl arrangement. So not just 5 fingers like you used to say. So this upper arm, this arm above, will be inserted into the clavicle, the scapula, and the what's down. The cavity at which the bone enters, this upper arm, the upper arm is called humerus. Have it? So you have the humerus, which fits into your glenoid cavity. So they fuse together, it will enter the hand at a region called the glenoid cavity. Is that it? Then after the humerus, you have 2 other bones. The 2 other bones, there's one that is very long. The one that is long, go around, you're saying there, Mira. So if you bend your hand now, you see there's a protrusion here. So there's one bone here, and there's one bone here. So this one is your humerus, just for that graph here. This longer one is called the ulna. Then that part that protrudes out is called the polycranial process. It's called the polycranial process. And this one is called your radius. So they can ask you that which one is the longest between ulna and radius? Ulna. Then head can tell you. Then at that region, the joints of the hand, you have some small bones. What do you call them? You have carpals.
Metacarpals.
You have the metacarpals. Have it?
Yes.
And you have the phalanges. So you have the metacarpals. And you have the phalanges. There's another name we call all these things. In medicine, we don't really call them all these things. So, let's move on. For the in-limb, you remember we have pectoral girdle. So pectoral girdle and forelimbs, they are the ones that go together. So your clavicle, what is it called? Scapula at the back and clavicle, they will form a joint that this one will enter. She gets that point of insertion this is your own body now. So this one is at your back. This one, another is at your back. Then that polar bone, then your breastbone, and every other thing that's attached. So that point of insertion is what we the glenoid cavity. So now for your hips. They are joined together at the back too. Then they are joined together at the region. There are three parts of your hips, so to say. There is the ischium. This one is called your pectoral now. The one for your waist is your pectoral. So you have the ischium, you have the pubis, and you have the what? India. India. So where the ilium join together, one of them is pubis. I think this one is I think the largest one is ilium. This is ilium. This is ischium. This is pubis. Because there are a lot of things that we used to do here. So the joint where the two meet together is called your pubis symphysis. That spelling is not correct. Break the tape, the spelling is So the point where your two pelvic girdles, where they meet, and that place control childbirth. So that's the pubis symphysis. So these three parts of the bone forms the pelvic girdle. Then this sacra will fuse with the pelvic girdle at the back. At the sacral something region. So now, this leg now, this part is called the femur. Are you still following? Yes. So your femur will fit into the pelvic girdle. And that femur fits at the region called the acetabulum. So just like the way we have the humerus, we also have the iliac linked to pelvic. So where the iliac is joined, we have the femur, we have the patella, we have the tibia, we have the fibula. Tibia, fibula. I wish we can just clear this. So we have the patella, there are a lot of those. So it will fit into the pelvic girdle at the region using the head, the trochanter head. Then that part in center is called the acetabulum. So the femur articulates with the girdles, with the pelvic girdle at the acetabulum. So it enters the head, like the hammer head, like this. It enters. So that's what you have at that joint. Then you now have the tarsals, have it? You have the tarsals, you have the metatarsals, and you have the... Is that taking? So you have the tarsals. So for plants, you need to know about the joints. What are the types of joints we have? We have movable and immovable joints. So we have movable and and immovable joints. The ones at the back of your vertebra, they are the immovable joints. Is that taken? For the movable joints, you have the ball and socket joints, the knee joints,
Gliding and gliding.
the gliding and you still remember them.
My butt joint.
So thank you. So for plants, so this is one of the cervical. It's supposed to you should actually do 1 and 4. You should be the regular process, that's the protection. And the criteria 4 is there, not the central, because a lot of cervical are central. But if that's a typical cervical, 4 is sure. So 4 is sure. 1 looks like the notoid process, the projection. So, please, let's look at that of plants. Can we look at anatomy of plants? Please, if your house is far and you want to go, you can take people. What I want to explain is not much, but you just need to follow me very well to understand it. So I will do it in a way that I will summarize it. So please, without wasting much time, when you talk about, please don't forget that we have 3 types of muscles. Cardiac muscle, smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, and which one? Cardiac muscle. Now, let's talk about the structure of plants. Normally, a plant grows from the roots. What gives rise to the roots of plants? Is radicle. Then the plume gives rise to the shoots. So you have the roots, the radicle, then you have the shoots, which is the stem and the branches. So the stem and the branches. So if you look at plants, so please the plume gives rise to the shoots, in case they ask you. Why the radicle gives rise to the roots. The upper portion of this guy is called the apex. That's the stem apex. You know, you can have the leaves, but just for simplicity, the angle where the roots, where the branch grows from, is called the node. That place having the branch is called the node. Is that taken? The angle between the node, the angle at which that branch comes out, is what we call the axial. Do you understand that? Now, the distance between two nodes from here to here is what we call axial. At least here you are. That's morphology. Now, we have two types of plants. Monocots and dicots. If I cut a root of splits, if you are there, please go. If you are not listening, please go. Please. You don't have to sit here. Some of you are not listening, you are just here. You are here in body. Depending on the plants, I can cut the roots. I can cut the roots of a monocot plant or a dicot plant. When I check the arrangements inside the roots of the monocot plant, what will I see? When I cut the stem parts, the stem of the monocot, or a dicot, what will I see? So, let's say let me start with, let me just do a very simple diagram. For monocots, roots. And for a dicot root. For a dicot roots, you have, first is the silent. The silent. I'm starting from the center. The silent. It's all like a star-like shape at the center for dicot roots. Then, around the roots, you have a layer. Like the camel. Then, after that star, I don't know if there's another one. This thing will merge all together. You have these parts, the phloem. You see that after this arrangement, there's no space at the center at all. Then after that, you have a layer called the endodermis. You have the cortex, then the epidermis. Then depending, you can have the peripheral layer that gives rise to the root stem. So if this is a dicot root, note something. you have these parts called the peripheral layer. The peripheral layer used to give rise to what we call the roots hair. Then you have the epidermis. After the epidermis, you have what we call the cortex. The cortex can be made up of all those parenchyma, depending on, usually parenchyma, collenchyma. I will explain the difference between parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. Those are the aspects they can ask you questions. Then, you now have the endodermis. You can go and check, you can see there's another one peripheral layer. Then, you can have the cambium, root cambium, and you can have the fluid. So, when you look at the dicot roots, please note something. The star-like parts, that is called the xylem. You will see it will look like star like this. The moment you see something that looks like star like that, just know that that is dicot roots you are dealing with. So, this is the xylem in the roots. Now, from this structure, they can ask you, the function of the roots here is to absorb nutrients. That's the function of the roots here. The epidermis protects the roots. The cortex, they serve as skeletal structures. Skeletal structures holding the roots together. The endodermis, most times, stores starch. The phlegm helps to translocate food. Translocation of food. That is the function of phlegm. Are you there? The cambium, you know it is a dicot plant. Dicot is the one that has cambium. It helps in secondary growth. But you don't have that with monocots. There's no cambium in monocots. Then xylem helps in water conduction. You have to carry water. Is that thinking? So that's the function of xylem, to carry water. The peripheral layer is the one that gives rise to root hair. So if they ask you that which one are the peripheral arrangements, those ones that are close to the outside. So if you want the roots of the plants, the dicot plants, these are the settings you will see under microscope. And that's just it. So your own is to identify when you see. When they are talking about roots, look at it. What are you seeing? Number one, you see all these strands. All those strands shows that that's the roots. Number one. Number two, how do you identify if it is dicots or monocots? It is dicots when all these places are choked up. There is no space. So you will say that in dicots roots, there is no pits. No pits at all. But in monocot roots, there is pits. There is pits in monocot roots. Opposite is for stem. In dicot stem, there is pits. But in monocot stem, there is no pits. And all this can be confusing. I gave them a code at the time to always remember. So, if they now ask you something, this is another question they can ask you. In dicot roots, how are phlegm and xylem, how are they arranged? They are arranged in an alternate manner, are they? After silent, fluent. After fluent, silent. After silent, fluent. That's how they arrange. So we say they arrange in an alternate manner. So the phloem and the silent alternates. So they have what we call alternate reader. So that's what you need to note. Then for the, let me just draw the dicot stem. So that means every time you see it, you will not be confused. So let me just draw dicots in row. Anything you see aside those two will be monocots. Do you get my point? It's not easy to keep before in your brain, but from this now you already know what this is. Now for dicot stem, there's an arrangement like this. Then silent, then the silent are arranged in a ring manner. Then after the silent, please. Then after the silent, in a ring manner, you have the cambium. Then after the cambium, you have the phloem. So both the silent and the phloem now, they are arranged on the same radar now, compared to the other one. I'm just putting it together, but they are arranged on the same line. Without wasting time. So now, for the stem, this is a ring. So you are like a ring. But these parts now, then you have there's what we call pericycle. Pericycle, then there's the cortex and the endodermis now. So for the stem, you have the epidermis, you have the cortex, where you have sclerenchyma, polychyma, and some parts of parenchyma. So they are the ones that form the skeletal system. Then you have the endodermis. Then you also have what we call the bulk cambium. But let's leave that. You have the pericycle. Then you now have the phloem. Then you have the cambium. Then you have the silent. Then there's a hole at the center. Then you have your corner beats. So what is in that beats is parenchyma cells are in the beats. So you have the parenchyma cells and the beats. So now this is a dicot stem. So if you look at the way the phloem and silent are arranged, after one silent there is phloem, after phloem there is silent, after silent there is phloem, so they alternate. But for this one, the same line is where they are. So you say they are on the same radar. So silent and phloem for the roots. Silent and phloem on the same radar. Are you there? So that's what you have for the dicot stem. Now, if you look at this, there's space here. That space is called pits. If you look at this, there is no space. So meaning that dicot roots do not have beats, but dicot stem have beats. Opposite of beat is for monochords. So you don't have to disturb yourself too much. Another thing you should note that you don't have a monochord is cambium. Cambium is not present in monochords. And I already told you the function of cambium. What does it do? Secondary growth. It will give rise to primary xylem and secondary xylem and secondary phloem, so that the plants will continue to grow bigger. Don't worry, there is no time. So, do we understand the difference here? It's like you cut a stem and you are viewing the inside. That's what you see. Yeah. So, without wasting time, I don't want to talk about monocots again. But for leaves, I will just talk about dicot leaf. For dicot leaf, you have a layer for dicot leaf like this. Then you also have a columnar layer like this. Then you now have some parts that have space in between them. Then you now have some, one is above, I think in this place when the silent is above, or phloem is above. There will be a ring. In that ring, one of them, silent or phloem is above. Silent is above there. Phloem is below in the leaf. So then they are in that vascular sheet. Then you now have another layer below. That layer below now contains something. So, looking at this diagram now, this is the structure of a leaf. On top of this leaf, you have something that protects, that prevents water loss. That thing is called cuticle. The cuticle prevents water loss. That's the first thing you need to know. Then this column here, this layer here, is called upper epidermis. Upper epidermis. Then there are some chlorophyll inside this place. That place where there's chlorophyll and there's maximum absorption of sunlight, that place is called palisade mesophyll. Palisade mesophyll. Some part of chlorophylls are here too. This part is called spongy mesophyll. After this, I just have to complete. Then, this part is called the lower epidermis. Then, this guy and this other is guy. They are called the guard cells. So they are the guard cells. So, they control what goes in and out of the leaves. Then under that gas cells an opening. That opening is called the stomata opening. And it is through stomata that gases enter the leaves. So there are a lot of stomata opening in that region. So this is phloem and this is xylem. And you already know their functions. I want to believe you are paying attention. Even if it's just one person that is paying attention, it's fine. I'm not wasting my efforts. Now, from what we have here, let's quickly look at the difference between cholenchyma, sclerenchyma, parenchyma, and xylem. Sorry. This is internode. Sorry. I'm turning to physics. So it is internode, not axinode. Thank you. Can I rub that part? It is internode. Can we go on? So let's differentiate the sclerenchyma, cholenchyma, and parenchyma. Me, I'm not actually tired of this. It's just my muscles and my feelings. So, I need you to note some things here because there are questions they ask here. My own question was on sclerenchyma. My brother's question was on cholenchyma. So your own question can be on any of these. They just asked me the parts of sclerenchyma, which are sclerids and fiber. That's what they asked me. For my brother, they asked him which one is useful for lower plants, for their flexibility. That's sclerenchyma. That's what they asked me. Can I rub the board now? So let's just note cholenchyma, sclerenchyma, and parenchyma. Cholenchyma have a wall that is sticking at the corner. Note that statement. Cholenchyma, they have wall. Their wall is sticking at the corner. Only God knows the number of pictures you people are taking me today. It's not easy to be a celebrity. You now turn to paparazzi. Don't go home and be showing your parents that hey, look at that boy, took the God of last one. So can you write that? Cholenchyma is sticky at the corners, and this allows bending of plants, blending and flexibility of plants, especially the herbaceous plants, young plants. Cholenchyma is thick like thick at the corners of the cell wall, thickened at the corners, and this allows the bending or flexibility of plants, of smaller plants, young herbaceous plants. Have you written that? So cholenchyma is what makes plants bend and stand again, especially all these young plants, so they can bend and stand again. Is that okay? Then sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is made up of sclerids and fibers. Sclerid and fibers, and they are made up of dead cells that give strong rigidity to higher plants. They are made up of sclerids and fibers. And they are made up of dead cells. And they allow rigidity. They give the plant strength, rigidity. Are you there? So they give the plant strength. So they can ask you that sclerenchyma is made up of what? Sclerid and fiber. That's the common thing they can ask you. So next, parenchyma. Some of them are living, some of them are not living. You can compare those ones. Parenchyma actually, I think it's a living cell. Parenchyma only strengthens the plants. Have you written that? Parenchyma only strengthens the plant when it is stodgy. That means when it absorbs water. When it is stodgy. Strengthens the plant when it is what? Stodgy. Is that okay? So that's what you need to know. Understand that silent is a dead cell. So right, silent helps in conducting water and strengthening the plants. Silent, there's something I want you to note about it too. Helps in conducting water and strengthening the plants. Strengthening the plants. It is a dead cell. You need to note that. It is a dead cell. It is a dead cell. And it is made up of vessels, tracheids and fibers. Tracheids and vessels, please. It is made up of tracheids and vessels. Is that taken? So, xylem is a dead cell. It's made up of tracheids and vessels. While sclerenchyma is made up of what? Sclerids and fibers. Is that taken? Then phloem. Phloem helps to conduct food. It is a living cell. Phloem helps to conduct food from the leaves to other parts of the plants. Phloem helps to conduct food from the leaves to other parts of the plants. A process called translocation. A process called translocation. A process called translocation. It is made up of companion cell and what? Sieve tube. It is made up of sieve tube or sieve elements. Sieve tube or sieve elements, companion cells. Companion cells. Note, the companion cells help xylem to carry out its activities. Just note that. Phloem is made up of sieve tube or sieve elements and companion cells. Companion cells helps it to carry out its activities. Helps phloem to carry out its activities. That's why he said that it is living. That's the living part. So that's that. And those are the major things you need to know about this guy so far. If you read them and solve questions, get used to them, and everything will be solved. So let's move on to the next topic.